So, welcome to the next vBrownbag piece. So, today we're talking about VMUG in Africa. Ariel, part of the vBrownbag crew, and I decided that there wasn't a lot of representation in VMUGs for Latin America, but also for Africa. So, seeing as I'm originally from South Africa, born and raised there, left there about 10 years ago to go to London, I thought, well, it'd be great to hear more about why VMUGs what VMUGs are happening in Africa, why there isn't possibly that many happening. So, that's the idea of the panel. So if you guys can kind of introduce yourselves, and also for those who do the VMUG pieces and don't work for VMUG, just tell me about your VMUG as well, and maybe some challenges you have.
Good. So let me start. I'm Mariana Malouf, and I'm the president of the board of directors for the Global VMUG organization. We have 120,000 members all over the world. We have many, many chapters. And of course, we'd love to have people join us in this region. I'm here to say that we're committed to help leaders in the region, in the communities, to help them develop and grow and expand the presence and the value of VMUG, which is really networking and sharing information, getting together with your peers and really share what works, what doesn't work, and really share the value proposition of VMware technologies and those of the ecosystem as well.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Anita Kibanguchi. I am a product marketing manager with VMware. I am originally from Kenya, so of course it makes sense why I'm part of this panel. But I'm excited to be here and I guess offer my insights. I've been in the country for, I think now close to 15 years. So.
Great, and then I'm Johan Marais. I work for a company called Discovery Health in South Africa. I'm based in Johannesburg. I've been running the Johannesburg VMUG chapter for the last 3 years. To Greg's point, I think I took it over because I was excited as to what the community is doing. I saw internationally what the community has done and what they've achieved, and I kind of got bitten by the bug. Mm-hmm. So it's been in my favor for that perspective. Before I took over, the chapter was active, but they didn't have any physical presence or meetings at that point in time. I've seen great change in the last 3 years, but like everything else, it is an evolution. We have to start somewhere. I think my first meeting had 20 people that attended. We now actively have 3 to 4 meetings a year, and we get numbers to up to about 50 attendees, depending on who the speakers are. I've mentioned earlier that we've been very fortunate that VMware Europe is supporting us very actively from a speaker perspective. Joe Bagley and his team committed twice a year to fly out some resources. Hopefully we'll hear later from one of the other colleagues from Durban as well, but we try and coordinate it in such a way that when we get international resources out, we do 3 events in an actual week, so we can fly the same resource out, make use of their time to meet customers, but also attend all 3 VMUGs at that point in time. So that's worked in our favor very, very well. If I have to think about challenges, it's probably more a culture thing. We find a lot of South African people are very shy. They don't like to share. They're worried by engaging and talking to other people that they might be at jeopardy of losing their job. Somebody might take their job. And there's also a lot of companies that's not very happy with their employees sharing. It's a security thing. But looking at the international space, I pointed more to a culture kind of point where that's happening. It's slowly but surely changing, but I think as long as we keep on going at the pace we're doing right now with the support we get from the head office, it's going to go a long way. I think our next aim for us itself is probably towards the end of 2017 or early 2018 to have a UserCon, because we're getting the numbers up there right now to make sense for us to do that again. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff we're working on at this point in time.
Okay, I mean that's it's good to know. I mean, as I say, I worked in IT in South Africa for quite a while before I left, and I know that the cultures are challenging. You're right. There's a lot of culture where you don't want to share, and also companies are worried if someone goes out and they talk about, oh, I'm this person and I did this amazing vRealize automation piece, then they're going to get 10 companies saying, brilliant, okay, can you come work for me? And they've lost that resource. Or they come out and they explain that magic source of, well, this is how I did an enterprise deployment of this. And everyone goes, great, that's a great idea. There's this. So, and especially if you work for maybe not a customer like yourself, Johan, you work for a consultancy, they don't want to give away that because they want people to pay them for it. And you're right. I think it's a bit of a culture thing. I mean, would you guys think that, you know, it's great that the South African one's growing, it's getting more, but I mean, do you think for VMUG in Africa, how would people like Mariano coming in from the VMUG, could they get more people to attend? I mean, is it an issue of if there was more, I don't know, more marketing and invites? Is it a challenge maybe of, I don't know. That it is. It's amazing how there's. I mean, Africa's obviously pretty much the biggest continent. Yet it's only got pretty much four active ones, and 3 of them are in South Africa. And South Africa's tiny compared to the rest of Africa. You know, so why?
I think to answer your point there, where we started, to reach people, you need them to be on your database, so you at least know who they are. South Africa is very much a partner-driven organization or enterprise space, and I found when I started out that not a lot of the partners actually engage with their customers on this level. They provide a service, but that's where it kind of ends. There was no mechanism to reach people. What we did, fortunately, in our second year is we managed to attend a vForum event. We had a stand, and we actually could then make use of the time there to reach people that never heard of us before.
Okay.
So I think the problem was reaching people initially was the problem because there's no forum for us to do so. There's no more vForums. EMC doesn't have any more days, or any of the big partners doesn't have any open days.
Yeah.
What we lately try and do is we try and attend things like IDC events, and I speak wherever I can. I'm fortunate that my organization support me in what I do.
Yeah.
So they allow me to attend all these events and try and make connections wherever I go. That's the biggest mechanism I found so far.
Yeah.
And we're slowly but surely building up the organization. I think for the rest of Africa, VMware has seen some great growth from a customer base in that perspective. But again, our angle and the entry point to there is only the VMware channel. We don't have any access to anybody else or any partners for that matter. But saying that, I have seen though that the local VMware office and their new marketing department is doing whatever they can to try and assist us.
Okay.
So I think head office can only help us if we give them the opportunity to do so. At this point in time, they can't reach people. I'm not aware of any way of reaching people that we can't reach as the organization grows for that perspective. So more customer days and things like that, the more presence we can have, I think it's better for us.
Okay.
But up to this point in time, I got the support for that.
I mean, do you think from a VMware perspective, if VMware said, okay, we know we have this many people kind of doing virtualization and VMware stuff on our databases, they're in Africa and they're doing it, they say, okay, these are these people, let me just send out a basic email maybe to them saying, come to the next, VMUG, if it's obviously a country that has a VMUG running, and say this, or maybe mail it and say, look, you're the core partner in Kenya or the core partner in wherever. Do you want support to maybe set up a VMUG thing? I mean, we have a VMUG Africa. We do Middle East and Africa, and yet, it's predominantly Europe. So, I mean, what do you think? How do you think it could come in? I mean, you're obviously based in the US now. That's beneficial, and that's a great thing. But you know as well as I do, African culture is difficult. So how do you, from somebody who obviously attends user groups, how do you think that could transition to helping people in Africa get more into it and get more involved?
When I'm really thinking about this whole issue of trying to increase sort of like the VMUG community and the participation, the first thing that comes to mind is how much virtualization is getting done, right? I mean, if I was, I'm just trying to think of somebody who's in Kenya right now. If you mentioned a company like VMware, do they even know who we are, right?
Fair
do
enough.
they know what we do, right?
Yeah.
I feel like even here in the United States, I still talk to a lot of people where virtualization is complex, right? And so being able to even wrap your head around that, to be able to even deploy any of those solutions, right? So I think going back and really understanding, are there even deployments going on, right?
Yeah.
If there are deployments, to what level, right?
Sure.
Is it just that people are now just doing compute virtualization, right? Which means they're starting off, right? They're probably not even close to VROps or adopting some of the other virtualization products, right? And I think that's a good place to start. So looking to see, first of all, do we even have a user base? And if we do, then I think the next question is, how do we reach out to them, right?
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that you see a lot on the continent is this whole idea of mobile, right? Because mobile has, hit the ground running, right? And so there might be some ways that we can maybe instead of even, doing the emails or doing the, like sending mail, there might be ways that we can even send text messages, right? For the events, right? Given that we know a lot of mobiles going on, right? And so that's definitely a good place to start. But I think just understanding how much is being done, what type of deployments are getting done, then really looking at the next phase, right? How do we now start getting participation? At least that's just my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it's all about, what's the community doing, what's the customer base doing, and how are they engaging with the VMware solutions. It sounds like there's a huge partner ecosystem built around that's covering the region. So maybe we need to tweak the engagement model with the vendors and see how much reach we can have from a central VMUG headquarters perspective, and then work with people like you in the region to figure that model out. The other thing that I was thinking about is kind of tied to your comment about mobile. Is we have physical meetings and interactions, but we also have virtual events and webinars and different ways to engage with the audiences. So I firmly believe that once you get that, and again, it may be a virtual versus physical for a while because of all these different issues, but I think the multiplier effect can manifest the same way, meaning that I may be looking at a solution, I can get answers, or I don't trust the partners and I want to bounce some ideas off, with other customers. We could, make that happen through our new virtual platform that we're launching, and then come up with new formats for, basically enabling those communications, that knowledge sharing. Maybe it's not as pervasive.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not done in a regular meeting where I speak to a lot of people, and maybe it's just a one-on-one, a peer connection.
Yeah, it's a good idea, because I guess you're right on the virtual. As I say, for like vBrownbag tries to do, I know it worked really great for the Latin American guys of meeting up through that mess. Maybe, because obviously Africa's quite vast and there's lots of geography, and people have to pay to go to certain areas. If they did it and they said, okay, we're doing the Joburg one or whatever, they're doing that. They've obviously got great names coming in there and say, okay, here's these people, we're going to stream that. If you're in Africa, here's VMUG Africa, there's going to be Duncan Epping talking about whatever, and then you stream and you say, okay, here's, we're presenting it in, maybe it's like a VMUG Africa, but it's been hosted in South Africa, so people can physically arrive, because there's obviously a footprint there. Then saying, across Africa, here's an email, here's a text messages with a link, put this in your calendar, and come watch, come listen to this, and then maybe people will be like, wow, that's really interesting, that's great, I'm very interested, this is this person, and then you say, if you're interested in starting your own VMUG chapter, or you just want to meet like-minded people, there's virtual forums where you can just meet, because I think that's where a lot of us started, is virtual forums, and that certainly makes it simpler that way. But okay, that's great. I think we've got an idea of different plans. It'd be great, if the virtual one. It doesn't have to be VMUG. I guess if there's Europe, Middle East, and Africa, there's enough of us all around. We could certainly help out with the African thing. I know I'm going to try more. But thanks for...
one thing I want to say is, if people are curious watching this about VMUG, just simply go to vmug.com, and they'll give you an idea of the different platforms and channels and content that you can access. And then from there, maybe we get some pings of people that are in the same region that want to get together again from a virtual perspective, and we evolve it from there. So we welcome any feedback that the community may have.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thanks for that. Thanks for the vBrownbag team.
Thank you.